My name is Christa Bennett, 21 years old. I go to Champlain College and I study filmmaking. This is how art affected me. We're just chugging along, senior year, trying to get ready to become a professional artist.
Artsy means creative in all aspects. It's some of my best kids are well versed in reading. They read books, they have imaginations. It's very hard to be artsy without being intelligent and have a visual memory.
The word eccentric definitely comes to mind. You get that stigma of, oh, this person is a creative, like they don't exactly have their head on straight. A lot of the times they just turn out to be normal people that you just pass on the street.
I actually really hate the word artsy, because artsy to me brings up Pinterest boards and Pinterest-esque art projects of like melted crayons and inspirational quotes. I get frustrated as an adult studying art and having it be my work when someone calls me artsy, because that's not what I am. I'm an artist, and it's a different thing. As a kid, it gets applied to you when you are a creative person, and that can be annoying sometimes. You know you were the artsy kid when the teacher would say, okay, class, we're gonna do something creative today, and everyone would be like, and stare right at you and just be like, you're the art kid.
Art to me is my escape. It is the thing that I do that I feel the most accomplished at, and it celebrates everything that I have inside my head when it falls onto a piece of paper.
It's a form of catharsis. It's a way to make commentary on yourself, the world around you, and art is a way to preserve history in a moment in time.
Art is the expression of our humanity, good, bad, and indifferent, in ways that can't be expressed in other forms. So music does it uniquely, painting does it uniquely, film does it uniquely. So I think it's the way we express ourselves when we get beyond the numbers, basically.
So I guess I should start on how I became an artist. I started at a really young age. I couldn't actually read until I was in 7th grade because I didn't know how to communicate, and I couldn't read words because I have dyslexia. So that was really hard. So I would use art as my way of communicating to people. I was always getting myself into trouble, so my grandmother was always throwing like cans of paint at me, or not cans, but like those little jars that you would paint the number by number and stuff. She would like make me sit down at night in the summertime and paint because I was too squirrely, and she didn't want my brain to rot out from watching TV and stuff. So I did a lot of art then.
I became an artist when I made a decision in 8th grade. One of my friends was artsy. She wasn't an artist. She didn't consider herself an artist necessarily. She was the artsy one. And I looked at her work and I thought, wow, I want that kind of attention. I want to do it for real. And I did it. I sat down, I practiced my butt off. It became what I was meant to do. It's not something that is on the side for me. It is the thing that I do. And I think that what defines artsy from artist is how much risk you're gonna take, how much you're gonna actually take it seriously. I would say I am an artist because I make art, and that is what I am.
There's this time growing up, I was like 5, I think, and I was in my parents' kitchen. Our ceiling is white tile, and here's little me with my black paint and paper, and my mom comes in and she starts talking to me, and very much as an Italian person, I've got my hands moving, and the next thing I know is I'm just like telling this crazy story, and I'm wow with my paintbrush, and my dad comes home and he's like, what have you done to our ceiling? And up until like 5 years ago, we still had those black paint splatters on our ceiling.
Long ago, when I very first started this, there was a demand for budget cuts in the whole system in the district. Non-athletic extracurriculars were slated to be there were about 100 students who were involved, and they were extremely upset. It was devastating because the message they were getting in their young minds was that the community didn't care. Well, a couple of the kids said, but, aren't I worth more? Isn't my future worth more? Isn't art worth a little more than that? In the long run, many parents and many very articulate people stood before the board and defended all of the after-school activities that were non-athletic, and we were saved. But for that generation, the kids who were freshmen through, they never forgot that. They were always sort of waiting for the shoe to drop again.
I took a 3D design fine metals course, but the thing was that course and all the other art courses were always constantly under threat of being cut or being drawn back. We as students had to financially compensate for that. We were lucky enough to live in a town that is well off enough to be able to actually do that. The money did have to come out of our own pockets. Like, there were lab fees and they got more expensive as the years went on. We had to pay for materials for certain projects. The school did supply materials for us, but it wasn't a lot. It was enough to get you started.
I went to public school my whole life, and we had art class twice a week when we were younger and then once a week when we were older. Art class was kind of treated as optional in education. It had this kind of second-class subject matter life. I really got kind of beat down by the public school system. It was very clinical and very generic education for everybody. We were all learning the same things, regardless of our special interests.
There are problems with the factor that we are more headstrong into doing academics and getting the core subjects so that everybody passes it. So that takes more time and away from the kids. So there's no periods for the kids to take art. When I first started here 16 years ago, kids would have study halls and they would be able to take art classes. Sometimes the administration, they really support us, but they don't really know who we are. They don't know what we do and how important it is that we do it. It's a support, but it's kind of a hollow support, perhaps, without a real firm foundation. And here's the big thing. You gotta prove to the people that you're worth keeping. If you prove to the people you're worth keeping, they give you more money.
Schools losing art is tragic because it's a decision made by adults who are no longer kids and who don't have to be in school all day. As a kid, I think you really, really value those couple of hours a day where you get to be not stuck in a chair and not just talked at, but be able to produce something. And even if you don't take art class super seriously, it's just good to be in an environment where you can be creative, where you can make noise, or you can be an actor. That's really important for kids. When those spaces are taken away, you really see them starve and lose motivation to learn. I see kids who come out of Montessori schools or Sudbury schools, and they're the nicest, happiest, most creative people. And it's because their whole education was based on self-expression and creativity, and it wasn't taken away from them as some kind of punishment for not having enough money in their school system.
I think one of the greatest things we can do for our children is give them many, many experiences to surprise them and to urge them to create, to not feel that they need to create in a competitive way, but to create in a way that satisfies them. Because oftentimes we compete in so many ways. What grade did you get in math? What score did you get in the game? And that art is something you don't compete with. Art is something you share with the world. The more you are able to dig deep, even into scary, upsetting parts of yourself, and make yourself vulnerable enough to share it, the more deeply you will connect with each other. Follow your heart. Finding a job that will feed you is not as hard as living without your passion. I think that even if you are making lattes at a coffee shop or waiting on tables and painting into the wee hours of the night or singing or whatever it is you do, I think it's important to follow your heart. Life is crushing without passion. It's really not worth living if you can't be alive.
Art is an incredibly important source of positive energy. The world literally needs artists to keep turning, to keep going, because you see it every day, you see it all around you. You see it in brand advertisements on TV, commercials, movies, all the media that we consume. There's artists behind that, and they may be doing that as their day job. But beyond that, they're creating things, they're driving the future, and they're making an impact in their own significant way, and you shouldn't be able to take that away from someone.